So kind of building off motivation and, knowing you, I know how positive a person you are. In all your books, you talk about the power of positivity. You talk about how that is. And I think we can all agree positive environments are more productive than negative environments. But in today's world, it's really hard to bring that positivity all the time. So what advice can you give to leaders? What can you offer them to say, keep it positive, even in the light of it doesn't feel that way?
Yeah, well, one thing I would say is I do think there is such thing as toxic positivity.
Okay,
I
talk to me about that.
Yes, so I do think that at times in our lives we might not be in the best place, and maybe it's very warranted. Like
Mhm,
that's okay. Like maybe someone in your life passed away, and
mhm.
that's sad. Like you're gonna grieve that. I'm not gonna jump into that situation and be like, wouldn't it be better if you were happy right now? Like that would be pretty toxic of me to
Mhm.
do, right?
Right.
And so I do think like that empathy piece needs to be there.
Mhm,
Having said that, knowing that we aren't going to be over the top positive, we're going to still understand where people are and meet them there.
mhm.
Positive is better than negative.
Yes.
We all know a Debbie Downer who's just going to bring the situation down no matter what it is. I knew someone once who worked at some basketball camps, and I had a seventh grader who like was real close to dunking the basketball. And
Wow.
it was blowing my mind. I was like, this kid is incredible, right?
Yeah.
And we get to our lunch break, and this guy who was working at this basketball camp was like, everything sucked today. And I just couldn't understand where he was coming from. And
Right.
so I think the question is around like, okay, like how do you motivate someone like that?
Mhm.
And I think like for very positive people, it's taking a step back, it's asking great questions, and then it's leading by your example. Like so if I were asking him a question of like, oh, what was so bad about it? And then he expounds on that. You might say like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't see some of that. I did see one space where this happened.
Okay.
And you might reframe that conversation, right? Not
Mhm.
saying that they're wrong, because
Right.
there are lots of different ways to look at things in our lives, but leading the conversation, is part of leadership is leading in every aspect, whether
Right.
you're showing it, you're telling it,
Mhm.
is it verbal, is it the way that it, or is it just the way you make someone feel,
Yeah.
and I just think that like the most productive people, the people that are going to give the most, that are going to get the most motivated, are the people who have values aligned,
Mhm.
who have a shared vision,
Mhm.
and who are consistently reminded that they are a key piece to that vision, that they matter, that they're like that they make a difference, that it's not just to like puff them up, but to remind them of who they are, that they're an important piece of the puzzle that we're creating, in every group, every organization, every culture that you're creating. Like aligned values, shared vision, and then consistent reminders that people matter. That's
Mhm.
going to push you to a higher level of success.
Yeah. Those are three great pieces to it, but that last piece hit me. That last piece of those constant reminders. And to me, that's a form of, maybe it's positive feedback. Maybe it's just showing appreciation. I mean, um, I've seen so often people who are the best at their jobs feel the least appreciated when they're working.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden you say, well, why are they quitting? They're so good. They're not getting that either positive reinforcement or that really simple thing, a thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I think sometimes companies, and I think one space that I've learned a little bit about it are hospitals,
Okay.
especially through COVID and how
Yes.
nurses have been treated, and
Mhm.
just shutdowns, and oh, we appreciate you, but we're not gonna drop your
Right.
hours down, or we're not gonna give you these benefits, or we're gonna consistently make policies that don't work well for you. And and I think that it was a good example of a time when we don't have the money,
Mhm.
so we're not going to make you feel like it's cool if you show up and clap one time.
Yes. Yeah.
But from a management perspective, are there thank you cards going out? Okay, that's $5. Are you going to send a Christmas card, or are you going to put, a box up on one of the doors that says, hey, when you see one of your colleagues doing something amazing, put a little note in the box. We're going to read that at our work meetings. We're going to appreciate that person. We're going to make them feel valued. And I think that like, it's one thing if we clap for these people one time while they're doing an
Right.
amazing thing that's literally saving thousands or millions of lives. You know,
Right.
it's another thing if on a very personal level, we're finding ways to appreciate and to value the people in our care.
Yeah. And on a consistency, like you're talking about.
Yes.